Remember, homosexuality is a gender identity disorder that is based on a profound denial and rejection of binary, gendered, objective reality, which the body and the sexual organs clearly display. And because they were unable to integrate their sexual organs into their body image, these women also developed a profound denial of gender differences, proclaiming things like, "Who needs a man?" As Dr. Siegel says of her lesbian patients, frightened by the absence of sensation in her vagina, Shauna now began to question her homosexual behavior until she finally allowed herself to acknowledge the difference between the sexes. Here, Dr. Siegel explains how the lesbian dissociation from the female body and female sexuality causes them to reject men. A woman whose body is her own, a woman who has successfully integrated her sexual organ and her sexual self within her total inner self representation, is able to meet a potential male partner without either resenting him or competing with his maleness. For the women I treated, this was at first an insurmountable task because they had to acquire a more complete body image and sense of self. And as I have explained in other videos, homosexuality is an expression of the narcissistic false self. The true self is always heterosexual. Given the fact that dissociation from the female body is a core part of the lesbian psyche, it should not be surprising that lesbians have staggeringly high rates of obesity. Of course, there are other forms of lesbianism, such as porn-induced lesbianism. Those types of lesbians do not typically experience numbness in their genitals. This, however, does not mean they are not also fundamentally dissociated from their female selves. They most certainly are. And, of course, there are many heterosexual women who have been sexually or psychologically traumatized, and as a result, also experience dissociation from their female selves. This still does not mean that lesbianism is not caused by dissociation from femaleness and the female body. Some heterosexual women are dissociated from their female selves. While all lesbians are fundamentally dissociated from their female selves, we are not the same. Also, all homosexual males are fundamentally dissociated from their male selves. However, this dissociation often causes them to subject both their own male bodies and the bodies of other males to severe forms of sexual abuse, such as male-on-male anal sex. As clinical psychologist and LGBT expert Dr. Joseph Nicolosi explains, "In my own practice with men, I have found this same sort of phenomenon, a denial of the male body in my male homosexual clients." As Dr. Nicolosi explains in his book, a primary therapeutic task is the need for both lesbians and homosexual men to claim their female or male bodies, from which they have become emotionally detached, as part of their fundamental sense of self. In the following quotes, it can be very clearly seen that homosexuality, just like transgenderism, is a form of gender dissociation in which the individual dissociates from their real masculine self or their real feminine self. The boy who makes the unconscious decision to detach himself from his own male body is well on his way to developing a homosexual orientation or a transgender identity. Likewise, the girl who makes the unconscious decision to detach herself from her own female body is well on her way to developing lesbianism or a transgender identity. As a former homosexual male explains, our fear and hurt at feeling rejected by the male world led us to disassociate ourselves from the masculine. We had disassociated not just from individual men we feared would hurt us, but from the entire heterosexual male world. Usually the pain had to do with our feeling unloved or unwanted, or at least not loved or wanted enough. The pain often included father hunger, mother enmeshment, peer rejection, poor gender esteem, and, with disproportionate frequency compared to the general population, childhood sexual abuse or premature exposure to sexual experience. Some of us began to distance ourselves from other males, male interests and masculinity by consciously or unconsciously taking on more feminine traits, interests, or mannerisms. Homosexual males sometimes take it to such an extreme they even refer to each other as she or girlfriend. But where does that leave us as males ourselves? It leaves us in a never-never land of gender confusion. As I have discussed in other videos, homosexuality and transgenderism are both gender identity disorders that stem from the same root, a dissociation from binary gendered objective reality. And now that transgenderism is more trendy than it was in the past, women who are severely dissociated from their female selves, as lesbians fundamentally are much more likely to identify as transgender and mutilate their bodies in a failed attempt to look male. Gender identity disorders exist on a spectrum, and female-to-male transgenderism is the natural progression of butch lesbianism. Well, that is all for this video. I hope it was informative, and I hope that you can now more fully understand how lesbianism does not stem from a love of the female body, but instead stems from a profound dissociation from the female body. If you found this video informative, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video on social media and with your friends and family. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you all in the next video. Bye for now.